Man, what is happening, my YouTube family? Of course, it is your boy B New. I'm coming at you on this Saturday. And first and foremost, as always, man, I want to send out positive vibrations and blessings to anybody who could be listening. Now, with all that being said, we all know that the Los Angeles Lakers were in action in Minneapolis, Minnesota on yesterday in downtown Minneapolis, taking on none other than the Minnesota Timberwolves, which of course had the addition of Rudy Gobert to play along Karl Anthony Towns to solidify, to me, one of the best front courts in the NBA just because of the size of their front court, which I think makes them a very formidable force in not only the West but in the entire NBA. And I picked them as a dark horse favorite before the season to be able to make some noise in the playoffs, because I saw what they did last year against the Memphis Grizzlies in the playoffs, and I think that series went to 6 or 7 games, if I'm not mistaken. And ultimately, of course, Memphis Grizzlies won, but that was without Rudy Gobert. But anyway, I said on yesterday on the pregame show that the Lakers were going to be without the services of a one Anthony Davis, and I was concerned because the Lakers, are short on big men because of also the injury to Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant had looked very promising in the preseason and in training camp, and I think he was outplaying Damian Jones, to be honest, to be the Lakers starting center, and I think it was going to give the Lakers a lot of versatility as far as being able to have Anthony Davis in that 4, or maybe sometimes put him at that 5. And I wondered on yesterday, and I even I speculated that Jones would, more or less come in and start as the center. And I said, that, LeBron would play the 4, and that's exactly how it worked and played out. But at the end of the day, I was worried about the depth, because I said, you cannot play him all game. Who are you going to substitute for him as center? And I mentioned the likes of a Wayne and Gabriel. To me, Wayne and Gabriel came in and gave some good minutes on yesterday and showed he was very active with his hands, getting in passing lanes, and also being able to hold his own against Karl Anthony Towns himself, and Gobert at times. And the way I look at it is, the Lakers played a pretty good game to be so short-handed. I think Russell Westbrook actually had a pretty good game, and in the second quarter played with a lot of tenacity and was actually getting downhill, and he was actually finishing at the rim, which I think is a good sign. So, he's not giving up completely. At the end of the day, it's still his name on the line, and I don't think he wants to be out of the NBA, so he has to continue to try to do his best to be a good player. And I think him and LeBron actually, I liked it when Coach was actually staggering their minutes, when LeBron would be in with one unit and then bring Russ in with a different unit. But at times they did play together. But, most cases I think it was better when they were not, just because they both was able to get downhill and create for others is what they were doing. But at the end of the day, the Lakers had it close each time, but Karl Anthony Towns heated up at the end. You just got to give him his props, and it wasn't due to a lack of defense, because the Lakers played outstanding defense yet again. But good offense is going to be good defense, and Karl Anthony Towns was on fire last night with the 3. At least he was in the fourth quarter, because throughout the game he just wasn't. So that kind of shows you he stepped up in the fourth quarter to do what he had to do in order to put them over the top. And that's exactly what he did. But one thing I did not like towards the end of the game was the lack of size. And I understand that the Lakers were making a run where they was pretty much playing LeBron as the center in a lot of cases, kind of drawing Rudy Gobert out of the paint. But because you didn't have a true center in the game, it really left you with a lack of ability to go out and get defensive rebounds, which was giving Minnesota multiple attempts to score by them getting offensive rebounds. And then not only that, if Rudy, I know they actually was fronting the post pretty good by not allowing, Rudy Gobert to get in and get easy baskets, but it was so many mismatch, and even at times you had a mismatch of even Westbrook on Gobert, because you got caught in the switch, not only just in transition, but in the half-court game on some of the picks. So at the end of the day, I didn't like how Coach ended the game like that. I think when it was still close with 5 minutes left, I would have liked to see, they was only down 5 or 6. I'd have liked to see Damian Jones still in the game, just to be able to hold his own, just to be able to clean up the boards if they could. And they was playing a pretty good 2-man game. I kind of like what I saw out of Damian Jones. He showed a little bit of athleticism. I would like to see him put a little more time into the weight room just to build up his strength. So when he goes against the larger centers, that won't be moved from his spot, because even in the game against Portland, Nurkic was pretty much having his way against him. Now, of course, the Lakers are 0-5, and I know there's a lot of people that's still happy about that, and a lot of people think, well, it's over for the Lakers, this and that. Man, all the Lakers got to do is get into the playoffs. You know, all they need to do is get into the playoffs. Once you get into the playoffs, man, you never know what happened, what could happen. Another team could get a major injury. I mean, you just never know. Anything can happen. But at the end of the day, you know, we still haven't seen this roster, you know, the way that it's currently constructed all the way through yet. We haven't seen Thomas Bryant play. We haven't seen Dennis Schroeder play. And I think that the lack of a point guard, of a true point guard, because you got AD when he's healthy. And think about it last night. They was close in that game without AD too. So if you would have had AD in there to guard Rudy Gobert, to guard Karl Anthony Towns, it would have made a big difference, and I think the Lakers would have easily won that game. So when you're talking about, when they was right there with Denver and to the very end too, and you know, with that being said, Anthony Davis held his own in the first half, and in the second half of that Denver game, as we all know, that's when he re-injured his back and he was ineffective. I think he had 16, 17 in the first half, but in the second half he only had 4. So if Anthony Davis can get healthy, I like how the Lakers match up with Denver. If Anthony Davis and Thomas Bryant and Dennis Schroeder are all healthy, I like how they match up with Minnesota. You know, so they might make 1 or 2 trades here and there just to shore up and maybe get some better shooters. But I think the Lakers' confidence is getting better. I think Troy Brown, if he can get his confidence up, he can start to hit some outside shots. If him and Lonnie Walker can just step up and get somewhere around 36, 37% from 3, and they're respectable from 3, then their defense is good enough to put them in any game. And that's all that you ask in the NBA, is for you to be in the game. So if you are in the game, then you always have a chance at the end, and who knows what you can do. Look at what San Antonio did to the Chicago Bulls last night, and thank goodness that didn't mess up my 3-team parlay, because even when I was picking my parlay yesterday, I looked and I said, well, Chicago is on the road to San Antonio. You know, San Antonio got a bunch of young players, and one thing about it, and this is what I tell you about great coaching, and this is what I said last year, Popovich got his young boys into the play-in tournament. Vogel couldn't even get a veteran team into a play-in tournament. And if you look at it from top to bottom, as far as talent-wise, you have a more talented team than the other. But because of the coaching and the philosophy, and not just that, but the motivational and the leadership and the way you bring a team together, because you can even see last night, you know, I just watched League Pass. I just enjoy the game of basketball, so I watch quite a bit of games whenever I can. And I really would like to give a more thorough analysis of last night's game, but I was enjoying it. A lot of different festivities leading up to Halloween, and I'll tell y'all, that means something special to me, and we can talk about that later. But I'm gonna have a good time tonight with family, friends, wife, you know, kids, everybody else, because, man, you know, my wife's grandmother passed away on Halloween a few years ago, and she was a staple to her family. She was much loved, and what we do is we have a celebration every Halloween weekend, or whenever we can, every year, in honor of Renee Mae. So y'all send up a prayer, man, for Renee Mae. We call that the Renee Mae Mafia. That's how we do it, you know what I'm saying? We got the shirts made and everything, but have a good time with the libations and the festivities, you understand me? So I was doing a lot of preparation for that yesterday, so I wasn't thoroughly invested in being able to watch the game so I can give it a thorough analysis as I normally do, but I saw good enough to what I'm giving you on what I saw. So if anybody saw anything more and would like to offer that, of course, put it down in the comments, man. It's always welcome. I appreciate everybody who's been hanging with me, my A1s from day ones, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all make sure, if y'all haven't done so already, y'all know what to do. Hit that bell, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe, and you know, we gonna keep pushing, man. The Lakers 0-5. It's all good. It's all good. It's not the NFL, baby. It's not the NFL. Maybe they can do something that's never been done. But one thing for sure is Anthony Davis is gonna have to rest that back and do what he can to get healthy. So, you know, without a healthy Anthony Davis, it's going to be hard, because what I'm telling you, Anthony Davis has been being a beast on the defensive end. His offensive game is still struggling, of course, but on the defensive end, you got him and Pat Bev playing great defense and anchoring that defense from both the front and the backcourt perspective. Then you got Austin Reeves, who can fight through screens and play some pretty good defense himself. But at the end of the day, I think the Lakers are only going to grow. They're only going to get better. And I think Darvin Ham has really coached them boys up, and you can clearly see they're playing a lot better defense than they were a year ago, even though it is somewhat some different personnel, because Carmelo Anthony couldn't play defense to save his life, and Dwight Howard couldn't either. And you can see all those players is not even in. And I don't know if y'all saw this, but I think the Denver Nuggets, or Utah Jazz, I believe it was, waived Stanley Johnson. And I wish the Lakers could have picked him up, but they couldn't pick him up because they had waived him themselves. And because he went to another team, I think it's that rule the NBA implemented some years ago. I can't remember the player who was waived, and then another team waived him. They picked him back up, and they said, well, that's not fair because whatever. So they implemented this rule, and so now the Lakers, they're not even allowed to get Stanley Johnson, even if they wanted to. But at the end of the day, man, the Lakers just need to keep on pushing. I'm gonna keep making the videos, and we're gonna talk about them every day and break down these games, pre and post game. So as always, man, I just want to say shout out, much love, and right on to the real, and much love to these haters. I'm out. Peace.